The pocket dribble has ruined basketball. And over the next few minutes, I'm going to explain why I believe the NBA needs to outlaw the pocket dribble in order to save its dying product. Now, with that being said, why do I believe the pocket dribble is such a big deal? Well, simply put, it's too easy. It is too easy to perform. I've seen this in beginner players. You can teach a beginner how to perform an effective, yet somewhat sloppy pocket dribble within 10 to 15 minutes, which means that it should not be allowed once you get to the highest levels in basketball. If you want to allow it for 6 to 8-year-olds, 8 to 10-year-olds, 10 to 12-year-olds, if you want to allow it in adult leagues, fine, fair enough. But for professional basketball players of the highest order, this should not be a legal move. And the reason why is not only because it's too easy to perform and too easy to learn, but because there's too much of a gray area surrounding it. This gray area is very simple to see. The pocket dribble takes advantage of a very clear rule in the handbook, and that is that you can't carry the basketball. But what does carrying look like? Well, carrying the basketball is when your hand is fully underneath it. When your hand is fully underneath the basketball, my hand would be right here. The basketball would be in my hand. If I had a basketball, I'd show you because it would be a very easy way to see what I'm talking about. The basketball is fully underneath my hand. That's a carry. Because at that point, if I were to take a step, I would be walking with the ball. This would be football. This would be rugby. This would not be basketball. The pocket dribble, though, is a little bit gray. And the reason why is because, technically speaking, you're allowed to have your hand behind the ball or to the side of the ball. But when you have your hand behind or to the side of the ball, you can have it slightly curved underneath it. You can have it slightly curved underneath it, which is actually more advantageous to the player because it's harder to manipulate the ball when your hand is fully underneath it because you have to flip it over. It's actually harder to do that. It's not as effective unless you're doing a push cross or a push dribble, pushing it out into open space. But if you're trying to do a crossover or a between the legs dribble or a behind the back or an in and out even, basically any other move, having your hand slightly underneath the ball while also behind or to the side of it is actually way more advantageous. And an additional gray area here is that the ball doesn't have to be spinning. It can come to a full stop in your hand so long as it is not completely underneath. So long as your hand is not completely underneath the ball can be stopped. The laces don't have to be spinning, which essentially means that the offensive player is in the privileged position to have the ball in their hand and wait for what the defense is going to do. The offensive player can essentially hold the ball at a standstill and wait to see what the defense is going to give them, which means that it's just read and react. Now, the game has always been read and react, but the level to which this gives the offensive player an advantage is ridiculous. It cannot be stated enough. And once you get to the highest levels, even if you get to varsity basketball, this is going to give the offense such an advantage. You see this in the top prospects. If you're 16, 17, 18 years old and you're a top prospect in basketball, even if you're the best player in your small town in Iowa or Kansas or Kentucky, you are going to cook because you have this advantage, because the defense is simply not going to be able to stop you. They are at your mercy. And unless you take a bad shot or you miss, you should score every time. You see this in the NBA today. Jason Tatum can score at will. Luka Doncic can score at will. Trae Young can score at will. There are 20, 30, 40 players that can put up 30 a night. There might even be more. They just don't get the opportunity. And over the next 5, 10 years, you're going to see more of these players enter into the league because we have lowered the barrier to entry so much. You see this in ball handlers. You see the ball sitting underneath their hand, or rather their hand sitting underneath the ball, and yet they get away with it. Because a lot of these guys are so quick with it, and you'll develop this quickness very quickly. It won't take you that long to get really quick at pocketing it back, having your ball hand slightly underneath the ball, / to the side or behind it, and then quickly changing direction. You'll get so quick at that the referee can't blow the whistle. There's too much of a gray area here, and it gives the offensive player too much of an advantage. And it's in my personal opinion that once you get to the NBA, once you get to the highest league across planet Earth, that should be illegal because I want to see the best talent. I want to see how good the best talent is. And the only way you can showcase how good the talent is in juxtaposition to how strict the rules are, how stringent the rules are, how close the calls are being made. If you have tight defense and you're not able to have this offensive advantage in manipulating the ball to such an egregious fashion, then you'll see who is actually talented. Then you'll see who is actually ridiculously skilled. You'll see who can really score. This is why the old heads love Jerry West. This is why the old heads love Paul Goodrich, why they love guys like Pistol Pete. This is why they love those guys, is because they didn't carry. They didn't carry and they didn't pocket dribble, but they scored bucket after bucket after bucket because of pure talent. Pistol Pete would average 40 in today's game because he averaged 40 in his game. He would probably average 50 in today's game because it would be too easy for him. And so I believe unless the pocket dribble is made illegal at the highest level, you're only going to see the league get more watered down. More and more guys are going to be considered great when really they're not. And by comparison, if everybody's great, nobody is. And I think it's going to ruin the basketball irrevocably. I think it's going to ruin the league irrevocably. So, yeah, with that being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. Oh, last note. IG influencers and hoopers online, they also get inflated egos because they think they're really good because they're actually carrying the ball. Because you can do a pocket dribble legally if your hand is to the side / behind and up, as in your hand is toward the top of the ball / side / behind. But all these influencers online, they're not good enough, so their hand is basically underneath the ball. They're cupping the ball, and they think they're hot shit. But yeah, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. And if you gained value out of this, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Much love. Peace. This is New Da Vinci. Have a blessed day. And stop pocket dribbling, because if you can score without it, you're a real G. Just my personal opinion. But then again, what do I know?